The show begins with an undercover DEA agent, Kane, who is trying to secure a suitcase, which contains some sensitive information against government officials, and some other towered figures involved in crimes internationally. He escapes in his vehicle, but a group of armed assailants pursue him. During the ensuing chase, the assailants fire at his vehicle, resulting in Kane facing a deadly vehicle crash. He ends up in a Mexican hospital, with a blonde woman standing beside his bed. He has no idea of who he is, or how he got there. Dr. Garza, who is assigned for Kane's treatment, asks him about his car accident, but Kane doesn't remember anything. The doctor claims that he is suffering from post-traumatic amnesia, which resulted in his apparent memory loss. Since he is unable to recognize anyone, he asks the woman about her identity, to which she claims that she's his wife, Anna. The scene changes to some other place, where we are introduced to a senior DEA agent, McCoy, who is carrying out a search for Kane. He visits a burned-down house, which supposedly belongs to Kane. They find a dead body inside, but they are positive that it's not Kane's. Unable to find any evidence, he orders his DEA men to track Kane wherever he is. Back to the hospital, Anna is trying her best to bring his memory back, by revealing his date of birth, his father's name, etc. Suddenly, a Mexican man walks into the room, and introduces himself as Eddie. When Kane asks about his details, he claims to be his friendly brother, and gives the impression that he is determined to help him bring his memory back. He then visits Dr. Garza in his room, and shows deep concern about Kane's medical situation. He threatens the doctor to bring Kane's memory back with heavy drugs as soon as possible, or he will destroy his family. Dr. Garza claims that Kane's mental health is not ready to deal with heavy drugs, but Eddie and his guys begin to strangle him, forcing him to eventually agree to Eddie's plans. Garza visits Kane with two of Eddie's thugs, and begins to sedate him with a drug. However, Kane realizes that every time he remembers something, the doctor gives him a sedative, so he attacks him and the thugs. He also finds a gun in Anna's purse, and threatens her to stay quiet. He quickly dresses himself in a black suit, and leaves the room with Anna. He also begins to suspect Anna's claims too, and realizes that she's not his wife in reality. Suddenly, one of Eddie's members enters the elevator, and informs Eddie about his run. Kane attacks the guy after noticing him, and beats him down inside the elevator. They exit the elevator, but come across another big man with a luxury haircut. The man attacks them, forcing them to get back in the elevator. Eddie orders his gang to freeze the main elevator, locking both of them inside. Kane steals the guy's cell phone, and escapes through the elevator shaft with Anna. Kane responds to Eddie's call on the guy's cell phone, in which Eddie asks him about the suitcase, which Kane had in the opening scene, revealing the fact that Eddie just intends to get the suitcase. Kane doesn't remember anything, and hangs up. Eddie now orders his gang to spread across the hospital, and also checks the security cameras. Kane and Anna arrive in the utilities area, where he forcibly restrains her to a chair. Anna explains that he is very close to Eddie, and that Eddie is a drug cartel. She further claims that Eddie and Kane did all kinds of deals together, which compels Kane to believe that he is also a drug dealer. As Kane's memory comes back to him in bits and pieces, he finds that those around him aren't what they seem. Kane also keeps seeing a woman sitting on a sofa at a beach at sunset. He decides to face Eddie and his thugs, and steals a firearm from one of the gang members. Kane leaves through the hallway, and starts attacking Eddie's gang members inside the hospital, resulting in a heavy firefight. He goes back to his room, and finds his wallet with a number sequence, which he can relate to his memory. Suddenly, a gang member enters the room, and gives him a sedative. Kane ends up weak against his opponent, but still manages to beat him down. Other gang members also intervene, and engage in a combat with Kane. When a third guy nearly overpowers him, he uses a defibrillator to beat him. He comes across that luxury haircut guy, who is overconfident about his power. He attacks Kane in the hallway, but gets knocked out. Kane ends up in the kitchen area, while still dealing with the sedative. The luxury haircut follows him in the kitchen, and attacks him once more. They engage in a long hand-to-hand fight, and Kane throws boiled water on his face, hurting him. He still manages to overpower him, but Kane breaks a nearby plate, and stabs him multiple times with a shard. Luckily, Dr. Garza finds him, and takes him to a safe cabin. Kane finds out that they are looking for a case he had in his possession before he landed in the hospital. He stole it from General Mondejo, head of the army, someone to whom all the cartels report, and then went off-grid. Since Kane arrived at the hospital, Eddie has been trying to administer memory drugs to bring his memory back, so that he can remember the location of the case. The doctor was giving him B12 to counter the effects of the memory drugs. The doctor is helping Kane, as he has been terrorized by Eddie for many years. When Eddie finds Luxury Haircut dead, he orders his gang to kill power on everything, and also lock down all the doors. Kane enters a storeroom, and finds a satellite phone. He dials the number that he found inside his wallet earlier. Surprisingly, the call is connected to McCoy, who tells him that he is standing outside his house, and shows concerns about Kane's safety. However, with the assistance of his IT professional, McCoy tries to have the call traced, but Kane knows better than to trust anyone at this moment, so he keeps the call short. He then sniffs around the room, and notices a fake wall. He discovers a new room, leading to a secret chamber engulfed in red lights. The room is full of naked women, straining and storing drugs, with arms and ammunition lying around. He also discovers exotic animals in cages. The chamber revealed a secret operation within the hospital premises, so he confronts Anna once more, and asks her about the details. She tries to tell him that he is part of the cartel, but Kane still doesn't believe it to be associated with him. Eddie's gang members enter the utilities area, and attacks them. Anna and Kane retaliate skillfully, and end up winning against the opponents. They enter another cabin, and discover that Kane was also injured in the battle. When Anna leaves to bring some medical supplies, Kane once more receives a call from McCoy, which throws more light on his identity. McCoy reveals that he is a DEA agent, and has been undercover in Eddie's organization for the last 5 years, to get access to that suitcase. Anna returns with medical supplies, and tends to his wounds. As they get ready to leave the room, they find Eddie's cronies roaming the floor trying to kill him. They find a vent above the room, and end up moving through quietly. Unfortunately, the satellite phone suddenly rings, grabbing Eddie's attention. His thug starts firing at the ceiling, but Eddie stops him, because he wants him alive. After that, Kane unintentionally collapses on a church in one of the rooms of the hospital. Diego, one of Eddie's guys, confronts him with a gun, and claims that he stole the money in the suitcase. Fragments of Kane's memory return, in which he remembers that Montejo paid $20 million for the case, but Kane double-crossed him, by taking the money and the case. He then asks Diego to call Eddie, because he wants to talk to him. As Diego dials Eddie's number, Kane takes his cell phone and kills Diego. He then informs Eddie to meet him on the roof, in order to sort things out. Eddie also arranges for snipers to be present on the roof, in case he is in danger. In the meantime, the board at the DEA decide to burn the place down, whereas McCoy is playing both sides of the law, and needs to look out for himself. When Eddie meets with Kane on the roof, they have a conversation trying to find a middle ground. Eddie behaves in a friendly manner, and also offers him some tequila. Kane begins to remember that he was in a tunnel, while carrying that suitcase. As Kane is about to recollect where the suitcase is, Eddie ends up too excited, and mistakenly gives the signal for the snipers to shoot Kane dead. Hundreds of bullets are shot, but they manage to dodge them all. With bullets flying all around, Kane escapes the roof, and gets a call from McCoy. McCoy tells him he will try and save Kane, but also alerts him that the DEA will light up the whole building, and blow it to pieces. His best bet is to get out via the east entrance, where the sun rises at sunrise. In the meantime, Eddie and his guys start to hold the hospital staff hostage, with one nurse in danger. Eddie uses hospital announcement speakers, and informs Kane about the hostage situation. When Kane has a moment to think about what he could do next, Anna comes to him, and informs him that she is CIA, and she cannot leave him. She further confirms that Kane is indeed a DEA agent, but he was recruited by the CIA to recover the case. Kane is confused about whether he is the good guy or the bad guy, which angers him. After snatching the shotgun from her hand, he demands she sit still while he gets the suitcase, or settles the score with Eddie for the final time. As Eddie and his guys are about to kill the nurse, Kane calls Eddie on the phone, and tells him to finish this on the last floor of the hospital. When they both finally face each other, Kane points the shotgun at him and fires. Eddie retaliates, but Kane escapes into the kitchen area. As Eddie follows him, they engage in a nasty fistfight, leaving both of them bloody and close to death. When Eddie delivers the last blow to kill Kane, someone shoots 10 bullets through his upper torso. It is revealed that Anna shot Eddie and has the suitcase in her hand. At that moment, Kane sees the face of the woman in his vision. It is the woman he is with now, his wife Anna. She slowly helps him up after he kisses her, and they have a moment. She explains that she recovered the case from the doctor's chamber. It was Kane's good fortune that he came to the hospital with the case, and his doctor hid the case somewhere where no one could find it, unless they looked hard. Kane and Anna attack the remainder of Eddie's guys, and kills them all, just as McCoy arrives with his troops. They manage to get out of the hospital, and McCoy meets with the two of them in his car. It is revealed that the case has the names and addresses of the Illuminati that run the world. After McCoy tells him that the sensitive information in the suitcase will never see the light of day, Kane feels protective of the suitcase. When the driver of the car forcefully tries to pull at the suitcase, McCoy admits he is a rat, and working both sides. McCoy turns out to be another bad guy, trying to get his hands on the case. He further indicates that Anna was working for him, and Kane feels momentarily betrayed. She holds the gun to his face, as everyone's guns come out in the next fraction of a second. However, Anna shoots the two DEA agents sitting behind them, and then the driver, leaving McCoy and Kane alive. She was never on anyone's side, except Kane's. Kane then shoots McCoy as well, but it's only a flesh wound. Kane and his wife Anna escape with the suitcase, filled with names, faces, and institutions involved in international organized crimes.